Breaker, breaker. Hello, and welcome back to Tucson, Arizona. I'm Randy,
I'm Nick.
and in lieu of another topic, because I read about this morning, and it's the most ridiculous scenario, so bear with me, and then tell me what you think.
I'm blindsided, guys.
Yeah, he doesn't know what I'm about to get into. A 58-year-old man is dead after a bear fell out of a tree and struck him in what appears to be a hunting accident in Virginia, state wildlife officials said Tuesday. The Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources confirmed to USA Today that a treed bear fell and struck the hunter about 9:50 a.m. on December 9th in Lunenburg County. Lunenburg County is just around 80 miles southwest of Richmond, the state's capital. According to a preliminary investigation, a group of hunters chased a bear into a tree, and as the group retreated from the bottom of the tree, one hunter shot the bear. As the animal fell, it struck Lester Clayton Harvey Jr., who stood about 10 feet from the tree, officials reported. A member of the hunting group rendered first aid until local fire and EMS arrived on scene. Wildlife Resources spokesperson Shelby Crouch said Tuesday. The man was taken to the hospital and died Friday, Crouch said.
Do you think the
Ba-boom.
bear? Do you think the bear came down with an elbow? He's like, I'm going out.
Dude, is that not the most insane way to die?
That is crazy.
Someone else shot the bear and it fell on you and killed you?
Did it say if the bear died? Because I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I think it died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the bear was treed by a group of people, and then these idiots shot the bear. And the bear fell down and killed some other hunter.
Not even somebody they
Like,
know.
don't get me wrong. I feel really bad for the dude and his family.
Yeah,
But is that like not the most insane way to die you've ever heard of?
that is like the most ridiculous way for sure. How does that even happen? Like, why would you be standing 10 foot from a tree that a bear was up anyways? Like, you've got guns. Stand a little further back.
Yeah. Stay way farther back. Come on, guys, go. Get out. Go.
Oh,
Come on. Go. Whiskey. Go in there with Rhodes.
go.
All the mongrels are invading us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, like I heard about that and I was just like, this is real life.
That is the most ridiculous thing. Like, I know bear hunting's a thing. I've never even really gone. I've gone hunting, but never for myself. Like, I've gone with other people when they've gone hunting. And I can't even imagine, like, trying to hunt a bear, let alone wanting to be that close to one. Like, that's what guns are for.
Yeah, especially rifles. I'm imagining you're out there with a big rifle to hunt bear. Like, those guys were clearly there to hunt bear. I don't know about the dude who was under the bear.
Yeah.
I would presume that's why he was there too. But if I've got a lot of friends that hunt, you've got a lot of friends and family members that hunt.
Yep.
I can't imagine a scenario where, like, seasoned hunter. Presumably, you're a seasoned hunter if you're hunting a bear,
I would assume.
like of any kind. Like you've done this, and every hunting expedition I've ever heard of, the guys have a clear plan of where they're going to be, what their job is. Like if you're deer hunting and you're in a group, typically you've got guys that are your firing squad, and then you've got your guys that are pushing. So you strafe out, and you'll be in like a box pattern, and you'll push left to right or right to left, and then any deers that strafe across, you get a deer. However, there are 10 of you in a group that tree one bear, and none of you realize there's a dude underneath the tree with a bear in it.
Yeah. That's kind of reckless on their point, too.
Oh, dude, the whole thing's reckless.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm a big gun guy. Like, I love guns, but safety is always first.
Yeah.
And that's like range. Like, we're not even out like hunting or doing any like crazy shoot 'em ups. We're just range day targets, stationary targets, you know, however many yards away we're set up for. Everyone's in a firing line.
Mm-hmm.
No one passes that firing line.
Yep. And guns are never pointed backwards, or, you know,
Yeah, you never strafe.
in that 120 degrees or whatever.
Yeah, you never strafe anybody.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you know
you're
how I grew up with
flagging
guns. My mom was terrified of guns. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't ever. I used them when my dad let us go shooting, and like I think we went shooting with your dad a couple times, right?
A couple times.
Yeah, it was. I don't think it was a lot, but
Yeah,
I
because
probably went.
like your dad liked it, but he wasn't into it like my dad.
No. I just don't remember going with you very often. I know I did once
a couple
or twice,
times,
but,
and then on the farm you came with us a couple of times,
Yep.
but just you. Like your dad wasn't out there, nothing.
but
Because we had a range on our farm property. So,
I was raised where we couldn't even have Nerf guns for a long time.
dude, remember what were those building blocks? Most of them were white, and they locked in, looked like a dice. Like you had the little blue dice with nubs on them, and they locked into things, and you could build like spaceships and.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the name.
But you guys had a bunch of these. You're the only person I've ever known to have them, so I don't even know what they're called. And this is 3rd grade, 4th grade.
Yeah.
But I grew up with firearms. Like they were a big part of my life. Like I think back, I've got pictures of me in diapers holding a 357 Desert Eagle, like with my dad helping me hold it, firing it.
Without his dad just
But he had smaller guns that I was able to handle and shoot on my own at like 3 and 4 years old. Like I've been shooting my entire life. So I remember whatever these things were called. I mean, they weren't Connects, they weren't Lego,
I have to look at.
but they did lock in together. And you had different lengths of rectangles. I mean, they were all rectangular, but I think one side was open. So it was like a C channel. And they had these little black nubs about the size of dice, or blue. I mean, I think there were black ones too, but I remember the blue ones. They looked like the size of dice, and each face had like a nub that stuck up on it, so they'd lock into the ends of these rectangles. And you could design
anything.
all kinds of stuff, and we would build spaceships and shuttles and things out of them. But I would design guns with them,
Mm-hmm.
and your mom did not like that.
No, she lost her shit.
I was like, it's not even like, doesn't even have like projectiles. Like it's just vaguely shaped like a firearm.
If you made one out of triangles.
Yeah. And she did not like that at all.
Yeah.
But hunting, dude, like
Yeah.
we could call Fatty right now and we're like, dude, if you were hunting a bear and Trent was standing under the tree, would you shoot the bear? If Carl was standing underneath the tree, would you shoot the bear?
No, Carl might. If his ex-wife was underneath. I'm totally just kidding.
Hey, man.
Erica, if you see this, I'm joking. 100%. He's never said that. I just thought it was funny.
Hey, I believe in the right to arm bears, dude. So,
Arm bears? Now
Yeah.
you're trying to give the bears gun?
dude, are you kidding me, bro? If that bear could have shot back, the 58-year-old man might not have died.
Then all the 10 people would have been treed.
I mean, a tree would have been a terrible defilade, but you know, it's just it's like the most astounding way for someone to die in a hunting accident I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Like, and I've heard of dudes getting like got by deer horns and things like
Yeah.
that, and moose stomping on them if they're up, Canada or whatever. And I've heard of bears tracking people, mountain lions tracking people. Like you hear these things, but never a bear being shot out of a tree and landing on a dude and taking him out. It is the most like wild scenario. Like I spent like 45 minutes just sitting at the table after reading this and just thinking like, what had to happen in order for this dude to be right there underneath the tree? Like, and would I have been that like unaware of my surroundings?
Yeah.
That there's a whole group of dudes. Now, I don't know if he was with the group of guys who treed the bear. That's unclear. I assume he is. But even if he's not, how is he unaware of 10 other men who just treed this bear?
Mm-hmm.
I've only ever talked to a few people that tree cats. I don't know about treeing a bear. But dudes that tree mountain lions. Like, you're on the cat. You're not far away. Your dogs are nipping at the heels of this cat, and you're right behind the dogs. Like, it is a cartoonish chase to get this cat up in the tree. I imagine a bear isn't that unsimilar. Like,
You have to have your rhino chasing.
yeah, and you didn't happen to see homeboy just like having a picnic under the bear.
Yeah. Was it a guy in the same party?
I don't know. That's what's unclear. I don't know if he was with them or if he was just kind of out and about on his
Just
own.
a guy with AirPods and running through. Like, that would be even worse.
Like, it says he was a hunter.
Okay.
So I imagine he was out trying to kill the bar too. But it's like, how did this happen? Like, this is, and I'm not even saying this in the way of like justice needs to be served. Like, how?
Yeah.
How do
like
adults,
a whole bunch of careless decisions.
yeah, do like the most inept people
Mm-hmm.
making all of the rest of us who have firearms look bad?
Oh, that's
And
done
I'm not a
every day.
hunter. Like I don't, and I'm not against it. Like I'm all for hunting. I didn't grow up with it. It's not my thing. I got a lot of friends. A lot of our friends do hunt, and some of them very successfully most years. Like I know Fatty gets stuff. I don't know if he gets it every year, but when I look at his Instagram, like there for, I don't know if it still is, but there for a while it was him with the
Holding a deer.
holding a deer.
Yep.
Like Ramon hunts every year.
Yep.
Sadly, he's been unsuccessful for a while because I offered up my freezer space to him if he gets anything. But like I'm all for it. But when it comes to firearms, like safety needs to be first. And in this case, it wasn't even like a weapon related problem necessarily.
Yep.
Tangentially it is though.
Yeah.
Like you should have been paying attention to the fact that you're firing 10 feet above another man's head or whatever, or however high up the bear was. It just said he was 10 feet away from the tree.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means. If he was 10
Yeah.
feet away from the trunk of the tree and that's how far out the bear was, like the bear was clearly overhead. How do you not see in your sight picture?
Well, maybe they shot the bear and the bear was up there for like another 15 minutes, like bleeding out.
That's a good point because that's
and
unclear.
I didn't even think it didn't say that. So
That's unclear.
they
So
could have
that's a
shot
good
him
point.
and sat
I
there
didn't
for a
think of
little
that.
bit, and he's going underneath to check and see like if he can tell if it even hit him. And you never know. But
That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
binoculars, I know you got them.
Yeah, dude. Glass the situation.
That's such a.
But isn't that like the most bizarre thing to hear?
I don't even know how you. Like, how do you call someone's parents?
And say, hey,
tell them
and
that.
hey, well, he's 58, so presumably you're calling his children or his wife.
It's true. And could you imagine calling his wife and being like, "Hey, your husband was killed by a bear," and she's like, "Oh, was he mauled?" And he's like, "No."
The bear fell
on him.
out
Like,
of a tree.
It's such an awkward conversation. I'm not trying to make fun of it. It's
Neither
an
am I, but it
absolute
is
terrible
it is
thing,
hilarious.
But it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it's
We also have very dark senses of humor.
yes. I'm sorry.
So sorry about that.
Yeah.
But it is like I imagine like try to imagine being this dude's kid. Like I try not to like think too much on like the loss of a family member.
Yeah.
But like eventually I'm going to lose my dad.
Mhm.
Like and it'll be a big blow. But when I think about it, like the only cause that ever comes to mind is like old age.
Mhm.
Like I don't foresee anything crazy taking him out. Like
Yeah.
old age cancer, old age related disease. Like those are the things that go through my mind. And I think he's going to live till he's like 90. Like realistically, because he's in very good health. Like he's hard on his joints or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, his entire life has been in construction like me. But he's in really good shape. Like I think that it's going to take time to wear him down.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be out and a bear's going to fall on him.
No, I would hope not. I mean, that would be
Like, but when I do think about like, you know, how rough that's going to be on me when he goes, that's the scenario that comes to mind is he's going to be like 90, like give or take 5 years. Like he could go out 85 to 95. Like my grandfather, I think was 82 when he passed away. But I mean, he was battling cancer for 7 years.
yeah.
So like if my dad gets something like that, like he's in great health, he's in great spirits. I mean, he's a very, very devout Christian. Like I think he's going to be a fighter.
Yeah.
If he gets anything like that. So it's going to take a while.
Yeah. I don't think your dad would give up on almost anything. So
No, he's a very stubborn person. So like, I don't ever foresee some weird phone call like this.
yeah.
Could you imagine having a weird phone call like this, dude?
Well, I mean, you know where my dad is, so yeah, kind of. Like, I've
But
thought
it wouldn't
about
be
all
surprising. Like
Yeah,
that scenario wouldn't be surprising.
If a bear fell on my dad, I would be very surprised. To be fair,
In this case, it might be a different kind of bear.
that's true. Then that might happen. Same type of phone call, I guess.
Oh, damn, man. I didn't know where this conversation was going to go, but that's my favorite joke of the week. And no one out there has any idea what the hell we're talking about. That's
No.
so good, dude.
Very, very
that was good. Oh,
Your dad-
frick.
This is why I give it away, but your dad is out in the rec yard, and you know he was just there, and a
A bear fell.
out of the fence. I don't know what was going on.
Oh, dude. a drone dropped a bear on your dad.
See, what happened was,
Yeah, cocaine bear.
yeah. But no, like my dad hunted and stuff when we were younger. So like,
Yeah.
if
Well, I
would've
mean,
got-
you guys are in Utah, like.
yeah.
Oh, 1 second.
Pausey.
Pause. I'm not even pausing on you. Hello, beautiful.
Hello.
I did not.
Oh, you didn't what? Tell me the whole thing.
So that's this. So could you use these in the shop? Oh, those are pretty rad.
I'll put on the hold music.
Okay.
All
right, baby. Thank you. I love you. See ya. All right. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
So
My
Randy's,
wife's working out of town today, so she called me. I guess she found something cool that she wants to buy for the shop, and I didn't get the text.
I could hear it. It was storage bins.
Oh yeah. I couldn't tell. But yeah, dude, like, seeing that's how unprofessional I am with this. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna pause anything. It's a pain in the butt to edit and splice videos back together.
Yeah, I don't
Hey
care.
guys, I guess I'm getting storage bins for my shop to make my parts easier to find. Because what you can't see on the other side of this camera is the full shop of tools and parts and things
And stuff.
and stuff. Yeah, it's slowly getting better. Like,
It is.
all of this is way better. Once the Christmas stuff is over, this will be, because a lot of this had to get rearranged for the front of the house for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. I mean, you saw the pool table. It's got the ping pong top on it, and it's full of Christmas wrapping, center, and everything else. So, yeah, house is chaos. And then once all this is done, like once all the chaos of the season's over, I'll start rebuilding those, and I'm gonna surprise my dad with his old RCs, but with all modern gear.
Nice.
And then I don't know if you saw the big one out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's 2 of those.
Oh, okay.
So those are like 3.5 foot long RC cars. They used to be 300Cs, the Chrysler 300C, but the bodies got all messed up. And then I broke one of them the other day, so I'm really sad about that. So I don't know what I'm going to do for bodies for them, but I'm going to rip all the control crap out of them and basically build them to be like 60-mile-an-hour cars.
Nice.
So I'll do videos on those because it's going to be a full retro kit. Like, those are toy grade, and I'm going to make them hobby grade. So, yeah, those are going to be a lot of fun. So I think I'll do some videos on those because they're not designed to do what I'm going to make them do.
Yeah.
But I've got a buddy who's got a shop full of 3D printers. So whatever I need, I'm going to have him 3D print me different motor brackets and whatever.
That's cool.
I'm going to make these things scream, dude.
Nice.
I'm probably going to grenade the chassis on them, but it's worth just finding out.
Yeah.
Because I got plenty of RCs that all those parts will go into if I do grenade them. And if they survive, even better. Because then I think I can get some really fun videos out of those.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the weird deaths. So it kind of made me think about all the weird situations we've been in throughout our lives. What do you think would have been the weirdest way for us to have died?
Hardest to explain or weirdest way to die? Because I think those are two
Either,
different
dude.
topics.
Either, man.
I think the cookie sheet behind the
Three-wheeler?
three-wheeler was definitely. It would have been a very big surprise. I mean, we got hurt. I got hurt real bad, road rash, and
Yeah, I only wiped out the one time, but I didn't ride it near as many times.
Well-
And he didn't start wrapping out gears.
yeah,
Like, because they're near the end of the day, everyone was getting a little squirrely and a little amped.
Yep.
So those last couple of rides you took, he was like full tilt.
oh yeah. I
A
mean,
little 250R was just like wrapping out
well,
gears.
remember for a while you guys had that little out by because our friend Calvin lived by Randy, and there was a time for it was like 2 years. I feel like maybe it wasn't, but that they had that radar thing up.
Radar thing.
Yeah, like you drive past it and say you're 45
Oh,
miles
yeah,
an
yeah,
hour,
yeah.
slow
Yeah.
down or whatever. And when me and Calvin would be on that thing, and it would go like 42 miles an hour. So I was probably going 40 miles an hour behind a cookie sheet, or on a cookie sheet.
Holding on to the little handle on the back of a 250R,
Just-
just squatting on a cookie sheet. We used to do that all
And
the time.
that wasn't the problem.
on
I
a
mean,
chip seal road.
Yeah, that was not fun. But the problem wasn't riding on the cookie sheet, except for when Kevin decided to stop real quick and you almost went underneath it. That
Yeah.
one, I mean, I hit my leg on it once, but I don't think I went under it ever. But the problem was when you tried to stand up. Because I
Yes.
tried to surf on the cookie sheet, which is just not a good idea. You have to start surfing. We learned that after. You have to, don't try to stand up during it. And I'm not promoting it to anybody, but if you're going to do it, at least do it safely. Because that's a thing.
There is no safe way to do what we were doing. There were no helmets. It was summertime. Half of us were wearing like. There were times we'd go shirtless.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah.
I did go shirtless when I wrecked.
Yeah, dude. How we still have limbs is beyond me for doing that.
I knew
So
if I
that's-
messed up my shirt, my mom would be pissed. So I had to not have a shirt on. That was the simple solution.
Yeah.
Luckily, Kevin's mom was a nurse, and she
Yes.
picked out all of the asphalt in my back.
Yeah, dude, that was nuts.
Um,
I've had so much asphalt in my skin over the years.
underage glug glug. That, I mean, that's not a really weird way to die, but I don't think my parents would have been, or my parents probably would have been surprised because they didn't know that I did that very often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. Sadly, being friends with me got you drinking early. Not as early as me,
Yeah. Well,
but
I blame it on Kevin.
fighting over a bathtub. Who's gonna sleep in the bathtub?
Hot damn. Kevin's little bottles of hot. He had like
Yeah.
500 of those things. I don't even know where he got them from, but that's where it all
I
started.
don't even know if it's still a thing.
It's not.
Okay.
They stopped making it. Well, you can't buy it. I looked it up a couple years ago and I couldn't find it, but I could find like bottles, but they were aged. So
Can you
I
still get
don't know.
like aftershock and
Aftershock? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because that's when I used to drink with my cousin and his buddy all the time.
Yep.
Dude, that is some hard stuff to drink.
It is now. Back then, I loved candy, so I was like good with it. Dude, 99 bananas is what killed me. I remember Diego. We were playing quarters, and Diego, for some reason, he just could not win anything. And dude, we had like that 99 bottle or banana.
Yeah, the whole
bucket,
big bucket.
and he
yeah.
drank like half of that, bro. Like
Oh,
it was
so
bad.
gross.
He was literally like vomiting, but he was like hiding under the table because he didn't want to talk to anybody. It was and Diego's he's very antisocial.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, so
He's a
was-
bit socially awkward.
Yeah, there you go, socially awkward. And so he was just hiding under the table, and I was laughing so hard. I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. And then he'd be like, fine, it's okay, we can do one more. We can do one more. I can win this one. And then I'd just go once and then make it. And he's like, damn it.
This is why I don't drink anymore.
Speedway, just
Oh yeah, that's what was going through my mind too, man. Like the dude pulling guns on us,
roof surfing.
roof surfing. I think about that one a lot. I
mean,
can't believe how many times. What's even crazier than in my recollection than hood surfing was in the Honda, you and I trading places through the sunroof,
Oh yeah,
like going out the driver window. I hop over, you come back into the sunroof, and then we keep doing that.
yeah. That was. I don't know how like. I mean, I've rolled 2 cars.
Yes,
Both times I wasn't being like super ridiculously reckless.
I can speak for the one I was involved with.
Yeah.
I can't speak for the one I wasn't there for.
Well, I mean, I literally just rolled it. But I look back at that kind of stuff, and I literally jumped from the roof of Matt's car into Dan's passenger window and survived going 45 miles an hour down the speedway. Like, I look at that kind of stuff, and I'm like, I should have been a stuntman. No.
Dude, I think of that all the time. But the more I look into it, like it's actually really difficult to become a stuntman.
Oh, yeah. I was.
But we were so fearless
I know.
and reckless, like unbearably reckless. Like I look back on some of the stuff we did, and I'm like, how am I still alive?
Yeah.
Like, how did I survive any of that?
Oh, I know. I remember my parents calling me, and I was at Bashful Bandit down Speedway
Yeah.
to my house. Solid 45 minutes to an hour. Dude, I was home in like 30 minutes on my motorcycle, and I legit was chased by cops. But I don't know how I didn't get caught because they have radios. Like, I don't know how
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
dude,
get
it's
caught.
hard out running the radio.
By the time the first one got, like, I literally hit the freeway, and as soon as he was getting on the freeway as I was passing it, and as soon as he turned on his lights, I just saw him like fade away.
Oh, is this when you parked behind the house?
Oh, yeah.
And your dad knew what was up?
Yeah, he heard all the cop
Yeah.
lights. He came in. He's like, "Don't ever do that again." But like, I just lost them after lost them, and none of them were even like. I just got lucky enough that none of them were close enough to me to identify me.
To get any
in
real
any way, shape, or
description.
form. So
Yeah, you're just a silver streak.
not the only time I ran from the cops, but that was definitely the furthest.
See, and what's the crazy? So I never got into like any chases. Thank God. My reckless driving, and I wouldn't even call it reckless, just my speeding was always like timed perfectly, I guess. But the fastest I've ever gotten from one place in town to home when I had to be was right after Robbie bought the Lancer.
Oh, okay.
So we
yeah.
were all out at the mall, and he had just done the exhaust and the chip and everything in it. And I mean, me and Grover were so tight. Like everything, everywhere we went, like, hey, dude, I want to go with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was a cool kid.
Yeah, I miss him, dude. I haven't seen him in a while. Last time I saw him, he had a yoked out Volkswagen that he had done like all the work to. But he had bought that Lancer, and he was so proud of that car. Rightfully so. That car was dope. But a high schooler with a brand new kick-ass Lancer with a ton of work done to it. We got from Tucson Mall to Dad's house in about 18 minutes.
Yeah, that's quick.
That's real freaking quick. Yep. So that should have taken us about 35 minutes because I had to be home by 7 and he had to be home by 7:30. So he made it from my house or my dad's house to his house, which was over by the farm. Yeah, you can have some, bud. You're welcome. Which is over by the farm in like 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Because then he called me when he got home. That's why I know how like he legit made it home that fast. Well, so it should have taken him about 15 minutes. Took him about 7. So he called me. He's like, "All right, bro, I'm home. You good?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, thanks. You got me home like right on time." My parents were happy. My dad was checking out his car because he had the 2 solo barracks in it. So he had just gotten the 2 solo barracks, and because of that, I have a solo barrack in my Suburban.
Yep.
Because he wouldn't stop talking about those, and then I felt the amount of bass. His
car was freaking ridiculous.
So my dad came out and was checking out his car, and he's like, "Man, it's a really nice car." I mean, he liked Robbie.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Dude, your car is sweet. Like, that's way better than those old Beamers you had," because he had that old E30, which, looking back on it, I'd much rather have an old E30 than that Lancer. But but his were clapped out. His were old, and he was still working on them. Last time I checked, he still had them because he had 2 E30s. Jeez. Those things would be worth so much money today.
Yeah.
Because he had 2 complete E30s and then a parts car. Like, I don't know if he still has them, but those cars would be sweet to have on the road today. But like that was probably the quickest I've ever gotten from one place to another, because even when I had fast cars, I would haul ass, but I never had to be anywhere. Yeah. Like by the time I was driving, like I never had to I'd have to be to work. And there was one day I was cooking and I had to drop off Ogre at his mom's house and get to work. That's when I still worked at Sears. So get off of work at the school, because I was in construction in high school. So I get done with construction. I needed to go get changed because I forgot to grab my change of clothes for Sears. So I had to haul ass home, get changed. And he was like, "Bro, can you please drop me off at my mom's? It's really important." And she lived at the Marana Apartments, the new apartments. Yep. So I was like, "All right, dude, we got to go now. Like, I really don't have time to stop for you, but okay, fine." I zip it along, going way too fast. And as I'm coming through the doubles on Marana, I'm coming through the second, and Marana PD goes whipping the other way. And I was like, "Oh, I know he knows I was going way too fast." So I get up just past Luckett, and I pull over. And I'm like, "Get out the car, get out the car." And he's like, "What?" And I pop the hood, and I'm acting like something's wrong with my car. Dude, that cop came rolling up on us so fast and didn't quite pull his gun, but he was very loud to get back in the car. And so I get in the car, and I was definitely late on my car insurance payment, and I knew it. So I was like, my insurance is lapsed. I am hosed. Like, I'm going to get a $1,200 ticket plus speeding. Like, I'm screwed. Like, there goes my license. And there goes my car because my dad's going to take it, because this is when I had the Duster. So I was like, this sucks so bad. I'm only 17. Like, here it goes. Like, I'm hosed. I don't own the car because I'm not 18. Yep. Like, this sucks. So cop gets my stuff. I was like, oh, dude, I got to find my insurance. You know, I haven't had the car that long. And he was like, all right, while you get that, I'm going to go run everything else. So while he's getting ready to run everything, I see a bunch of fire trucks go whipping by, full lights, a bunch of cop cars and an ambulance go whipping by. And I was like, oh, what the hell's going on now? So now I'm entertained, and I'm like, all right, like I got something to take my mind off of the world ending apocalypse that's about to come my way. And then the cop comes, he's standing at the tail of my car, and the car's not very big. He's standing at the tail of the car, and the radio starts coming over, and they're asking him what he's doing. And he's like, routine traffic stop. And they're like, cut him loose. We need you. And so he walks up and he goes, it's your lucky day. Stop speeding. I said, yes, sir. And then he got in his truck and took off. And I was like, oh, thank God. I'm just doing this. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. I can't believe I just got away with that. Thank you, God. And so I was like, dude, we really got to go now. So then I go and I pass a house on fire. And that cop and everyone else is out there, and he sees me driving by, and he just looks at me. I'm just staring straight ahead, driving super slow, get up, drop Ogre off at the place right around the corner from where the house is burned down, and then cook it to work. And I was like 10 minutes late to work. But like that was probably the most insane, where I was going severely, like license ending fast, and got away because someone accidentally set their house on fire.
Yep.
So after that, I didn't drive like that. And then once I started getting like older, bigger cars, I liked just cruising. So I kind of got rid of the speeding element of my life. Like my big Cadillac, my 76 Impala, like, dude, I didn't really need to speed. And they had big engines, dude. Like those, because I still have the Impala. Like it needs a new motor now. But that car had a 350 as a 2-door Impala. Like that thing it was a big car.
It cruised.
But it was fast. And like in those big floating cars, I just didn't feel the need to haul anywhere, dude. My first Suburban, and I had air ride suspension on it. So it was like a cloud. No, man, it was the crotch rockets. Once I started getting into crotch rockets, that's when I was like, oh, I'm going to kill myself on these.
Yep. Well, I know for a fact that my R6 did 167. At least that's what I read on the thing.
Yeah, it's about accurate.
And then 172 after we changed the chain sprocket and a couple other little things.
Yeah,
we did
re-geared it.
But I had it there several times. Like several times. And
just pinning it.
The scary.
Gotta pin it to win it, buddy.
Yep, dude. I remember riding with Matt. We were trying to catch a movie. And we had a little bit of time, but we had to like cruise, so it wasn't like we were like flying. But we were at the Tucson Mall, at the old theaters. We wanted to watch a movie. He had to run out to his mom and dad's house, but they were staying in that trailer park out by Red Rock.
Okay.
They had just bought their new RV that we went around in a whole bunch. Yeah. And they were out there, and they had upgraded and got the new one, so that they were out there, and we went from there to the mall, or from the mall out to Red Rock and back. I think it was like a 45, 50-minute turnaround. We had like an hour and a half, so it wasn't like we were cruising, but I that's one of the times that I was pegging it. Dude, the scariest thing is it was only in 2 lanes at the time. Or I know there's 2 and 3 lanes depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
But
it's that stretch between Marana and Cortero. There was only 2 lanes back then.
Yeah. Well, I mean further out. It was still only 2 lanes.
Yeah.
And I'm cruising, and like you can kind of time things, and you kind of can see how things are coming, and I seen like a semi, and I was like, all right, cool. I'll just, in between them. Didn't work out that way. I definitely went between 2 semis at like 160 miles an hour. And it was like, they were like probably half to 3/4 somewhere in that area. And literally, like, I remember, I thought I was dead. I
just
hit that.
Gonna smear it.
Yeah. I hit that, and everything went like, for how loud it is on a motorcycle, it went dead silent. And I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And then I hit the other side, and the wind caught my tail end, and I literally felt it like just wobble. Ooh. Just that little like death wobble you feel sometimes. And I was like, oh, and then I like slowed down and got in the lane, and then Matt caught up with me, and he's all, what? And I'm like, let's just go. We're good. I needed a minute. I thought I was going to be pancake for a minute.
Dude, the one that made me decide I'm done with crotch rockets, and I mean, this is quite a long time ago now, and circumstances are different, and I might go back to one just to have in the garage, but
They're
I
fun.
kind of doubt it, just because I'm so much bigger than I was, and I'm older. Like, it's not comfortable to be in a full tuck.
Yeah.
I like forward controls. I like being laid back with higher bars, but I still appreciate crotch rockets. Like, I still love them.
They were fun.
I'm like one of the few guys on a Harley that looks the way I do that'll wave to every bike out there.
Yeah.
Most Harley guys don't show any love to those. Like,
I
I know
remember.
where I started, but when I got my first leader bike, that 1000 double R that I was starting to buy from KC, because his wife said he had to sell it, and I just started my divorce, so I was only, man, like 3 weeks separated, like. And he was like, "Hey man, you want this bike? Like, hey, come over and you need some blacktop therapy, bro. Come get the bike." So I'd borrow the bike and just go cruising. And he was like, "Hey man, I gotta sell it. Why don't you take it home with you?" And I was like, "All right." So I started buying the bike from him, and loved that bike. And one night, got into a huge argument with my ex, and just started rapping out. And rapping out a leader bike is a little different than like, and it's a double R, so it's got GP gears, like it's built.
Mm-hmm.
And I started hitting, like, because he lived back in Adonis.
Oh, okay.
So you remember the road into Adonis.
Oh, yeah.
With those hard hairpin turns and everything. So I was headed over to his place to hang out, play video games or something, just to clear my mind. And I was so amped. Dude, I was just dumping gears, weaving that road. Well, I wound up hitting that last hairpin right at like 100 miles an hour.
Oof.
And almost high-sided. So I would have died. I mean, I was wearing full gear, but high-siding
Still.
a hard right at 100 miles an hour,
Yeah.
it's just going to whip you and you're done. So I came out of that corner, downshifted hard into the next corner, and came back into the straight. And by the time I came out of that second corner, I was only doing like 30. I was like, I pulled up to his house and I'm shaking. Like, I'm visibly trembling. And he was like, "Bro, what's up? You all right?" And I was like, "Dude, I almost dumped the bike." He goes, What happened?" And then I start telling him, and he was like, "Whoa." And I was like, I handed him the keys. I was like, "I'm going to need a ride home, bro.
Yep.
Like, I can't buy this from you right now. I'm not in a good place. Like, I'm going to kill myself on this bike." Because I was just full tuck, just raping gears, man. And when I came through, I felt it start to give and start to go high. I was like, "Oh no, this is it for me." Like, I thought for sure that bike was about to whip me hard. And fortunately, it stayed, like, it only came up,
Part way.
but then it hugged back down. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to kill myself on this bike." So I got rid of that bike, and then I've stuck to Harleys ever since. I'm like, "No, I'm good." And don't get me wrong, I've had a couple of really fast Harleys, but I didn't ride them like that. Like, you get comfortable, man. You're just cruising on a sofa.
Well, it's like riding in my truck. Like, I drive like a grandpa now. Like, I used to race around everywhere, try to get there as fast as I can. I drive like a grandpa. Speed limit was 45. I'm doing 46, maybe 47. Like, I don't care anymore because I'm like, what good is it going to do to get there 2 minutes early? Like,
Yeah. I'm, like, in pretty much every vehicle, I'm a 5 mile over kind of guy. Like, it just...
I get pulled over a lot, though, because of the size of my truck. So I tend to avoid
I'm
it.
surprised I haven't been in the dually. I mean, just it being a dumped dually, like, I'm surprised I don't. And I leave red lights quickly. Like, I leave stops quickly. Like, it's a powerful 454. It wants to go. When I first started rewiring it, I was having issues with the wiring because the main plug for my old head, like, I mean, it's an old square body dually. The main light switch that pulls out, I guess all of that had melted at some point before I got it, and I didn't realize it. So I didn't have, like, tail lights.
Oh,
I didn't have most of my lights, but I had headlights. So I didn't think about it. But I didn't check all my markers because I've got the overhead markers, even though my truck is only 5 foot tall at the roof because it's dropped. I didn't notice my fender markers weren't on. Like, I didn't notice any of that. And we had to go to an event for my wife's work. So we went, and it's just right over here off of Ruthroff on I-10. And so we were there, and we're hanging out, and we're doing the event or whatever, and we're done, so we're packing up the truck because we took the dually. And some dudes came over, and one guy was trying to, like, I think he was mostly serious. about trying to buy the truck. He's like, "Do you want your truck?" It's a 4-door square body long bed dually, and it's laying frame. So it's truck guys and Chevy guys especially really want this truck. So it gets a lot of heads turning. So we go to leave, and all these dudes are still out there, and I just roast the rear tires. And there's not a lot of dualies out there unless they're diesels, because mine's gas 454. There's not a lot of dualies out there just burning up the tires.
Yeah.
And I stand on it for like 30 seconds. Like I just cloud out. And my wife's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Like, we're leaving. Like it's a club. Like it's a bar.
Yeah.
She's like, "We're leaving a bar." And I said, "I haven't been drinking." And she's like, "It's not the point. You're going to get pulled over." And I was like, "That's fine. I haven't been drinking.
Yep.
I'm not worried about anything. Like, I don't drink. Like, we're good. I can act like this." So I roast out, and then I take off, and all the dudes are like, "Yeah." She was like, "You're such a child." And I'm like, yeah, but I've got a toy. I'm going to play with it.
Yeah.
Like, but then we get home, and I realize I don't have taillights. Like, when I go back into the driveway, I get out to open the gate, and I realize I don't have taillights. So I was acting a fool outside of a place that makes it look like I had just been drinking, and now I'm drinking and driving, which I wasn't. I don't drink, so it doesn't matter. But like, I roast out my tires, acting a fool, got no taillights, because I don't have a rear bumper or a tailgate on it right now. I don't have, my license plate is mounted in a way that's not lit. Like, nothing about this is legal.
Yeah.
Right. And I realized when I get home, I'm like, wow, like that could have been, I don't think I would have got a ticket out of it. I probably would have got a fix-it ticket. I probably would have got like a, "Hey dude, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Bro, I could have, if I'd have got a car guy that pulled me over, I'd be like, "Bro, I just bought it. These dudes were like checking it out. I gave them a little show. Like, I'm sorry, dude." Failure to control is the best they could have given me.
Excessive use of finite resources.
Dude, I've heard of that.
I've
heard of that. For speeding, instead of speeding, they give you that.
No, for roasting tires because you're using too much fuel.
But I've also heard of that for speeding. I know a dude who got that same ticket because the cop was cool and didn't point him out because he had a CDL. He gave him that.
That's what Brandon got the ticket for when we were on Speedway, and he remember.
That's right. That's right.
He almost hit a pedestrian on accident coming into the parking lot, and the cop like scolded him, and he was like whipping around, and the cop like scolded
driving
him
like a fool
and stop, like kind of just put his hand up like stop. And, we park, we get gas. The cop leaves and goes out one direction. We leave and go out the other direction. And then we're turning back onto Speedway, and he turns around. The cop had turned around. And so he's at the light, and he's literally the first person at the light. The light turns green for us. We turn through, and we almost hit that other pedestrian. And Brandon did it to scare him because the guy had flipped him off the first time he almost hit him. And so it was so ridiculous. And so the cop pulled us over, and he's just like, "Really? Really?" And Brandon's like, "Just playing around. I don't really know. I don't have any." He's like, I'm giving you a ticket for excessive use of finite resources." So
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But there was another dude that I know back when I was driving that had a CDL, and he got that ticket, so he didn't get a speeding ticket. Because the guy was cool, and he was like, "Dude, I don't want to hit you up for points on your CDL. I'm gonna give you this."
Yeah.
Because it doesn't go towards points.
Correct.
It's just a fine you have to pay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Dude, what's crazy is in all of my Leadfoot days, which have been most of my life, I've only ever had 3 speeding tickets.
Sounds about right for me too.
Like, I had one right after I got my license. You'll remember this. No one else that will ever drive around Marana right now will even know what the hell I'm talking about. But back in the day, Marana Road was just a straight road for 90% of it. After the doubles and the bridge, it was just straight all the way to the freeway. There used to be Kenny's Market, which part of the building is still there, but I don't think anyone would recognize it as Kenny's Market.
Yep.
And then there was the intersection for Sanders.
Yep. Right where the airport is.
And then there was the big tree. And cops used to hide under that big tree.
Not very well, but yes.
Yeah. But if you were coming one direction or the other, depending on which side they were on, they were invisible. Well, this guy happened to be on the freeway side, and I was coming, and I had James, Ogre, and Roger in the truck. And we had just started our new year of construction on the new house, and I couldn't remember where the house is. So I'm like, "Guys, where the hell am I supposed to turn?" And they were like, "Right here. You're supposed to turn right here." So I turn. So I take the corner fast, and that's what got the cop on me, and he got me for speeding for like 5 over or something stupid.
Yep.
And so it all comes down to like a new, like, I mean, I was experienced in driving, but I didn't really know my way around anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I get lost. So I like, not anymore. Now I can zip all over the state. But back then, like, I didn't really know my way around places.
Oh, I still get lost on certain parts of town. Like, I'm like, I don't know where I'm at. Like, I can tell you north, south, east, west, but I'm like, I don't know what road leads to what.
Dude, I've been driving towns for so many like decades now that I can figure. Like, I can go to almost anywhere without a map. But back then, dude, even in the valley, I was confused. I was like, I don't know where the hell to go. So I explained this to the cop, but all he saw was 4 teenagers in the truck. And so I got a speeding ticket. Well, I'd never had one before. So I didn't know how the process worked. I didn't know about court date or whatever. So one day I'm chilling at home and my dad comes out and he goes, "Hey, did you get a speeding ticket?" And I said, I did. And I explained it to him. I was like, I wasn't doing anything crazy. I was trying to get to the job site, was kind of lost. And the guys told me to turn here. I was like, I guess I was going a little fast. I was like, it was only 5 over. I wasn't doing anything crazy. Like I thought he was going to rain down hellfire and take my keys away or something. Cause that was when I first got the Suburban. And I was like, I love this truck. I don't ever want to lose it. So I thought he was like, you realize you missed your court date. And I was like, no, I'm supposed to get something in the mail that tells me when I get a court date. And he's like, that's not how that works. And I was like, no, that's what the cop said. And he goes, no. And he was like, I just got off the phone with court because they wanted to issue a bench warrant because you missed your court date. He goes, I just had to talk him out of it. And I was like, and then I think he saw the fear wash over me. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I think he realized just how ignorant I was to how all this worked. And that I wasn't trying to like pull a fat. I was like, I didn't think I need to tell you. Like, it's my problem. Yeah. Like, I wasn't trying to hide it. It didn't matter. Like, I'm like, okay, I got a speeding ticket. I'll pay the $90 or whatever and I'll be done. And he's like, no, it's not how that works at all. So they had to teach me how it works. He scheduled me the driving class. And so I do the driving class. And what sucks is, I mean, so the driving class was set like months away. By this point, I have the Duster. And I go to the first day. First day's fine, whatever. This is back when it was a 2-day class. You did 2 like 4-hour sessions of your class. So I did the first day, no problem. Go to the second day, and as I'm going through the parking lot, I get T-boned and miss the second day. So I had to reschedule for it and go through the court process, which was a nightmare. Because now, like, well, why aren't you making it? Because I called. I was like, I'm not going to make it. And I was right there. I was like, I'm not going to make it. Why? I was like, look at my car. Like, my car is like, I can't go anywhere. It bent the strut. The person hit me so hard it bent my strut. Like, my tire's up at a weird angle. I can't do nothing. So then I went and did the class later and did both days successfully and uneventfully. And then right after, and then 10 years later, like quite a while later, going through a nasty divorce, and my ex made my life very difficult for a while. So I had to drive and drop my kids off in the morning 45 minutes out of my way. So now I'm really like not trying to be late for work. And then freaking within a week, got 2 speeding tickets.
That sucks.
Haven't had one since, but like it sucked. Yeah. Like, it really sucked. I mean, that's almost, that's quite 15 years ago now or whatever. So it just sucked.
The last ticket I got, I was driving down. It was when I worked at Larry Miller, and I was driving down the, I want to say 22nd. Yeah, it was 22nd. I was driving down 22nd, and my phone goes off, and I went like this and looked to see who it was, and then hit the answer button because my dashboard, like it always says the number. It never said the person's name on there, and it still doesn't. And so it just says the phone number. And let me correct that. It does like 40% of the time their name will show up, but otherwise it just shows phone number. And so I literally saw the number, looked at my phone, put my phone back down, and hit answer. And I got a ticket for being on my phone while driving.
Oh, that sucks.
And I was like, "You kidding? Like I have hands free." He's like, "Your phone was in your hand." And I was like, "You are correct. Like, I'm not gonna argue with you. You are, but that's stupid." And that's not the right way to approach it. So I got a ticket. But I haven't had a ticket in probably 8 or 9 years. But the couple that I've got, it's always been like, I should have had plenty when I had the motorcycle. I mean, Officer Quickbush, if you're out there, thank you. I think you've pulled me over more times than anybody else has been pulled over by almost anybody. And you were very nice and kind and treated me like an adult that should have known what he was doing but didn't. and I appreciate that because I did get tickets from you. Thank you. It would have ruined my life back then. But
Dude, I've been pulled over a lot in my day.
I got pulled over 3 times in the same road by him in the same day. Twice on the way to work and once on the way home. Twice on the way to work.
That's funny. That's funny. I've been pulled over for going too slow. Have you ever had that?
Yep. But I was told to move faster. He didn't pull me over. He pulled up next to me.
Oh, no, I got pulled over. So I had the Impala and one of the dash lights went out. So I had no clusters. And it was like 1 a.m. It was right after work. And I'm going down Cortero and I just turned on a Silver Bell. And it's raining really hard. And so it's already hard to see like the lines or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I turned and then I can't tell how fast I'm going. And I know there's a cop behind me. Like I saw him. And I'm like, just puttering along. And then I get pulled over. And I was like, what did I do? Like, he's like, you're driving way too slow. I was like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, do you see? Like, I don't, my lights just went out. Hey, you act like that, you can get out of here. I was like, I can't see how fast I'm going, dude. And the street lights here suck. Like, I mean, this is still back when that place was like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't see how fast I'm going, man. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best. It's raining. Like, it's kind of dark. I can't have a flashlight that I can sit here and shine on how fast I'm going. Like, at least I'm not speeding. He's like, all right, man, we can get that fixed. I was like, I will. It just went out.
Yep.
Like, just up the road, and all of a sudden, I lost lights. And he was like, all right, man, you're cool. And then I get pulled over for different things. Half the time, I think I just got profiled because my cars look like they might not be insured because they're older, big cars, and there's a young guy driving them. I used to get pulled over in a Cadillac all the time.
I remember that.
Because it was always like a car full of teenagers, and it looked like a mafia car, dude. Like,
I remember getting phone calls from you. Sorry, dude, I got pulled over again.
Yeah. Like, and I wasn't speeding. Like, I wasn't doing it. I was just getting profiled because a teenager driving a big, low Cadillac.
And profiling is wrong.
It is. But that car looked so much like a gangster's car that a friend of mine from New York who actually knew mobsters got me a keychain from a mobster that says Mafia staff car, and I still have the keychain.
That's cool.
But it's something that they actually used to put on the Mafia car keys, because then they just leave them in the ignition everywhere in New York. Everyone knew whose cars they were. Yep. And then if you saw that, you go, oh yeah, I don't want to be in this car. So he gave me one of those as a gift because he's like, dude, that car is something that like any one of these mobsters would be cruising around in the back of, because I had the super stuffed seats, everything was all electric. Like, yeah, dude, I miss that car. No. I miss that car a lot. Yeah, 78.
So
big engine.
I was pulled over once by Officer Quickbush for answering my phone while on the motorcycle.
Oh yeah, shoving it up in the helmet.
Shoving it up in there. And I think that's the only time I've had a cop yell at me, but non-verbally. Like, I couldn't tell half of what he said because he was so mad. Besides, like, oh, you're gonna be a bug on the road, and like, but he was yelling and screaming at me so much, and it was like a 5-minute rant. Oh, that wasn't that long. It was probably like a 2-minute rant, but it was like a rant of how irresponsible I was being. He was right, and I remember, like, no joke, like, it was one of those things like when your parents yelled at you as a kid and they just kind of like walked away, and you're like, what happened? Yeah. He literally walked away, got back on his motorcycle, and drove off, and I was like, do I go? Am I in trouble? Did I get a ticket this time? Like, I didn't know what to do.
That's so great. Well, that's both of my aunts. Like, I don't remember if I mentioned this on here because I've told a few different people in my life this story, but I used to do it. Like, I wanted to be a cop because I've got lots of family members that are cops back in Texas. And I would do ride-alongs with my aunts all the time. And one of my aunts was the lieutenant of Tiki Island, Texas. Very, very, very rich little island, man-made island area. So Tiki Island, look it up. CEO of Budweiser has a property there, or did back when I was hanging out there. The what do you have? What's the guy just below the governor? It's not assistant governor, but it's like lieutenant governor or something. Someone just below the governor. The governor's mansion. The governor had a mansion there, and then so I met at the time. I didn't realize who I was meeting because I was a teen. I was 16. But yeah, I met the governor of Texas at that time. So this is like long before Ben Abbott, but like the guy who has the patent for Velcro owns a mansion there. Who happens to be, or at that time, again, this is all back at that time, but at the time, the same guy who held the patent for Velcro held the patent for drywall.
Oh, dang.
Which I did not know that.
That would be a rich mo.
So, dude, it's all baller mansions built up on stilts with their back decks parked over their yachts and their big boats. So you just walk out your back deck, get on your boat, and go off into the Gulf Coast. So I was doing a ride along with her. And it was only like the fourth ride along I'd done with her. And she pulls someone over for speeding and driving kind of like an idiot. And I mean, these are all very wealthy people. So most of them don't get tickets. Some of them do, and they don't like that. But what are you going to do? So she pulls up and I just stay in the car. Like, I don't get out because it's endangering a civilian.
Yeah.
But you can do ride-alongs. So I hear her. She's so loud, I can hear her over the radio chatter in the car and everything because our windows are down. And she's just running this dude up one side and down the other for how he was driving and all this and that. And after about 4 minutes of her just taking her day out on this guy, she gets back in her car and we go around him and we continue on driving. And I'm like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
She goes, what? I was like, what just happened? Like, she's like, if I take my day out on you, you don't get a ticket. She goes, but if I'm nice to you, you're getting lots of tickets. I was like, huh. She goes, I'm hungry. Let's go eat.
Like, it didn't even matter at that point.
Yeah, dude. So then we run over the causeway to Waffle House and have food. And I was like, I was so fascinated by that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, she was like, yeah, dude, that's how we operate. If we come up and we're sweet like honey, you're probably getting a ticket. But if we roll up on you, and she goes, if I'm a dick to you, you've already gotten your punishment.
Yeah.
I'm not going to insult you and ticket you. Like, if I'm going to berate you about your driving, that is your ticket. Like, you've paid your dues, and I'm just going to tell you to get out of here. I was like, that's so fascinating. And then I watched my other aunt do the exact same thing. And these are both very, very aggressive humans that can hold their own.
Yeah.
And
I'm scared of them.
yeah. So like it was just such a weird insight into the world of policing. You know, I was like, is this normal? Like, oh yeah. Well, I mean, because you've got what's called officer discretion. They don't have to cite you.
No,
Like,
they don't.
They can let you go. They can give you warnings.
Depends on what it's for, but yeah.
But no, even in almost every case. Now, if you've
Murder.
if you've damaged something, if you've wrecked
What if you had
any
bear
kind of
fall on
collision,
you?
yeah, right. Any kind of collision, they don't really use discretion. You're getting cited.
Yeah.
But if you fail to yield, fail to stop, change lanes without signaling, or even speeding to a certain point, it's officer's discretion to let you go.
Yeah.
Like, I've gotten away from some pretty big tickets in my day just from being cool.
I know.
And so like they can use it all they want, officer discretion. So I've witnessed it and I've been on the receiving end of it, but I've also been pulled over for not doing anything and just having a bored cop.
Yeah.
Like, I for sure had those. Now, all of my interactions with cops, 90% of them have been great interactions. Like, you know, boring or whatever, but fine. I've had a few where I've been harassed. Like, I threatened to sue DPS once, and I never got pulled over again. But every Friday in that Cadillac, I would get pulled over on the same stretch of road between Ruthroff and Prince, and be harassed for the same things, not doing anything, not speeding, not doing anything goofy because I'm in the far right lane because I'm fixing to get off at Prince.
Mm-hmm.
This is back when GCR was right here and I worked at GCR. So I'm in the slow lane, not doing anything wrong. Car's fully legal.
Yeah.
It's early in the morning. I'm just chilling, not in a hurry to get to work. So I get pulled over, ask why I got pulled over, can't give me a reason. Ask me for information. I'm like, well, what did I do? Oh, well, I just need, your, whatever, your something about your license plate or your registration. Like they would say something like, you didn't see my registration sticker when I drove past you at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're pulling me over because I know what the car looks like. So after the third Friday, I called my dad because I'd already been telling him like, hey man, like I got pulled over today. I don't even like for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like didn't get a ticket or anything, but it was annoying. And then the very next Friday it happened again. And I was like, I called him. I was like, man, I just got pulled over for the second time by the same cop in the same stretch of road. And then the third time it happened, the very third Friday, it was a different cop. And I called him. I was like, I need you on the phone with me to witness this. He's like, okay. So I put myself on speaker and I just put my phone on the dash and I went off on that cop. And they're like, what? And I was like, no, what did you pull me over for? Like, I want your card. Give me your card. Because I'd gotten the card from the previous officer. I was like, give me your card. She's like, what? And I said, you have cards. She's like, yeah. And I said, you also are legally obligated to hand one to me if we've had an interaction. And she's like, yes. And I said, so give me your card. So she gives me her card. She's like, well, why? I said, because I've requested it. And that's my right. And she was like, I was like, I'm related to cops. I may not know the entirety of the Arizona law, but I know Texas law real well. And I guarantee it's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I said, yeah, I've studied T-close. And she was like, oh. And I was like, give me your card. So she gives me her card. I was like, this is the third Friday in a row in this exact same spot I've been pulled over by a DPS officer who has failed to give me a reason to be pulled over. What is your reason for pulling me over? And she just looked at me. I said, no, get your supervisor on your phone. She's like, what? Like this, I never gave her an opportunity to speak to me. I just went offensive. And so she called her supervisor and I said, hey man, I said, I don't know what your officers are doing, but you're about 10 minutes from a lawsuit. He's like, what? I said, this is the third Friday in a row I've had an interaction with one of your officers in this exact same spot with zero reason for being pulled over, let alone cited for anything. I've now been inconvenienced 3 times, 3 Fridays in a row, which are the only days of the week I drive this car. Because it's a big engine. I was driving something a lot smaller than that throughout the week, but then paydays, I would drive the big car. And I'm like, all 3 times. So I would like an explanation as to why your officers are pulling me over. He's like, oh, and I said, you can look up when they've pulled me over. You can Google, you can get into your little program and you can see every time that they've ran my license plates, and you will see that 3 Fridays in a row at approximately the same time in exactly the same location, I've been pulled over by one of your officers. I'd like to know why they're prioritizing my car. And he was like, it'll never happen again, sir. And I said, it better not, or I'll be seeing people in court. Never got pulled over again by a DPS officer. I wish Kelly was here because he's got the same stories with Marana PD.
Dude, I the only time I've ever got angry at a cop, I am not joking. I sped a lot.
I'm related to a lot of them, so I've been angry at a lot of cops.
Normally I'm really polite, nice, like, yep, here's license, registration. Like, yeah, sometimes you don't have to legally give them stuff, but I'm like,
I've never argued with him like that.
It just makes it easier. But he pulled me over, and I'm not joking. I was doing like 55. It was in my truck, so I had to drive that like a baby 99% of the time. The first like 2 years I had it maybe on and off, but like rarely do I even put my foot in it because it gets 10.5 to 12 miles per gallon. Like there's no point in getting
expensive.
Forward. So
that's how I treat my Suburban.
I know I wasn't speeding, pulls me over, and he's like, do you know why I pulled you over? And I was like, actually, I have no idea. I have zero idea why you pulled me over. And he's like, well, you were doing 79 and a 55 or whatever. He said something that was like excessive.
Yeah, astronomical.
And I was like, no. It's like I was doing like 56. I know I was. And he's like, well, you have bigger tires and that can throw your speedometer off, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yes, it does throw my speedometer off. 3.5%. If you want to look it up, you can. I went from 29.5 to 33s. And like, I'm sitting there like, I was not doing 79 miles an hour. And he's like, well, license registration. I was like, yeah. So I handed it to him. He came back up and he's like, oh, you know, doing that fast, I could take you to jail and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, okay, then take me. He's like, what? I was like, take me. I would absolutely love for them to watch your camera on your car. And he like lost it on me at that point. Like he got pissed back and he was like, well, I can do that if I want to, but I was trying to give you a break. And he like started getting pissed off back at me. And I was like, fine, then where's my ticket? I would love to see my ticket with 79 miles per hour on it. And he's like, well, I was just cutting you a break. Your insurance expired. And he handed me back everything. And I looked and it was expired by like 4 days. And I was like, dude, I can bring up the one on my phone. He's like, it's too late. I already issued the ticket. And I was like, then I guess I'll see you in court. And he left. He didn't show up. That's the only time I've ever tried to fight it. And I was like, because I got a ticket for something that wasn't true. I mean, I was blatantly obvious. I could have been like, dude, I've had insurance. I just didn't have the right insurance card. They just tell you. I'm not arguing.
No, I've been to court for that exact thing. So right after I started driving my little laid out S10, I had the boys with me. I just picked up the boys from their mom and we went grocery shopping and then we were headed home. And I mean, I had a bunch of grocery bags in the back of the truck, so I didn't get on the freeway because I didn't want everything. Because every once in a while, I mean, I got in the habit, this is back before I used like reusable bags, which my wife has 1,000 of. I would just tie up the Walmart bags, tie a knot in them and just leave them in the bulkhead of the bed. And so instead of driving up the freeway, we just go up the frontage road. Yeah. We're not in a big hurry. I'm hanging out with my kids. We're laughing and joking, whatever. So we're driving along on the frontage road and we get to Aver Valley and I go to turn left. And I get pulled over. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm not speeding. Like, I'm just kind of cruising at like 40, 45, whatever that part of the frontage road is. I was like, I'm not going fast. What did you pull me over for? So I pull over and I'm talking to the guy. It's Marana cop and nice enough guy. He's from New York. We're talking about New York and asked me for all my stuff and then tells me that he pulled me over because my truck matched the description of one that they're waiting for that's a known drug dealer because they're trying to do a drug bust. And I was like, well, none of that sounds true. Like, what drug dealer is driving a lowered square body S10 with 2 kids in it?
Yeah.
Like, it's all, and at this point, the whole thing's primer gray. Like, I just finished priming the whole truck. Like, no, I know it's not. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is weird. Like, but that's something that you can't fight.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I smell marijuana. It's like that old thing. Like, there doesn't even have to be any in there. You just say that and it's an open door.
Yeah.
It's a legal loophole. So I was like, whatever, dude. Like, no drugs in here. I got 2 young kids, both in car seats that are appropriate for their size. And you can see by the bed of my truck, which doesn't have a tonneau cover on it, that it's full of groceries from Walmart. We're headed home. Like, I'm still wearing work clothes. I'm like, I just got off work, just got my kids, headed home, dude. Like, it's Friday. What are you doing? So you're asking me for a while, asked me for all my stuff, and I could not find my insurance card. And I'm like, I have insurance. I don't know where the hell it is. So I'm looking for it. I was like, bro, I have insurance, but I can't find the card right now. And he's like, all right. So he cites me for that. So I drive home. I get home. And as I'm telling my dad about what happened.
I'll be right back.
All right, buddy. Oh, stupid work. He's always working. So I don't work at all. But my time off has officially started for the year. I'll wait to finish that story when he gets back in here. I hope everyone's doing well. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far into the video, into these goofy stories. If there's anything you want to hear us talk about, please leave comments talking about it. If there's anything that you don't like us saying, then say that to us. I don't care. Say whatever you want. Leave comments, man. I'd like to build the show. I'd like to build up the channel. that'd be great to start getting a lot more viewership and a lot more interaction with the people who are watching these goofy hangouts, because that's how they are. What did you think? Have you looked into the bear story? Tell me what kind of response would be the appropriate one for somebody who had a bear fall on them. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but I've got a terrible dark sense of humor. It's just the life I've led. Yeah, if you had any interesting interactions with cops that are good, because I don't like crapping on cops as a blanket, because as I've said here, I'm related to a lot of cops. A lot of them are retired now. My one aunt that I used to do ride-alongs with has passed away, so she's not doing that anymore. But her ex-husband, as far as I know, is still a cop. My other aunt retired from law enforcement because she couldn't handle the internal politics. But I've still got uncles on the force. I think I got one uncle that's about to retire from it after like 35 years. Yeah, but I was going to become a cop and decided not to, based on the political landscape of it all and all the internal politics and nastiness. And then being a cop today, I couldn't imagine. There's not a chance I would do that job. Not with the lack of support that they're getting from regular people and from their supervisors and everything else. I certainly couldn't be a cop here in Arizona. We had a lot of them decide to leave the industry because the lack of support from our illustrious leadership here in this very corrupt city. Kind of hard to be in a profession when no one supports you. But generally, don't break the law. If you're not out there breaking the law, no one's going to screw with you. Like I said, I drive 5 over minimum pretty much everywhere I go. Don't get screwed with too often. Pay your car insurance. That's the biggest thing. I've been hit by 3 different people in my life, like in a car accident where it was their fault and they didn't have insurance. Have car insurance. Be a responsible, respectable adult about your driving. Don't be out there running the risk. Like, my 19-year-old has car insurance. I make sure he does. He still lives with me. As the first bill he acquired as an adult when he started paying his own bills was paying for his own car insurance. We gave him a car and he had to have his own car insurance. I get the statements in the mail every month along with my mail. I make sure he still has it. I have him verify, because I know at his age I was a little lax with what I paid bill wise, but he's also making better money than I was. But yeah, be a respectful human. Like, realize that you're not the only car out there, and accidents are called accidents for a reason. You never know when they're going to happen. I mean, I've been T-boned a bunch of times in my life in parking lots, out on the main roads. Make sure you got car insurance. Make sure you get underinsured and uninsured motorist on your insurance. That's the only thing that saved me in my biggest car accident ever, head-on collision. I've talked about on here before. Uninsured and underinsured, because the guy that hit me was not insured. So my uninsured motorist covered all that, and then underinsured helped cover differences in a lot of my medical bills, because I had an extensive amount of medical bills. I had to have surgery. I was in ICU for a month, like the whole shebang. But yeah, generally speaking, try not to speed too much. But you lazy. Yeah, we're about to.
Sorry, guys.
Freaking guy. Where was I at though? The cop. Oh, so I get home, and I mean, this is right after my divorce. So I just moved back with my dad for a little bit, and so I'm telling my dad about this scenario, and I'm like, dude, what kind of bogus thing is this? My truck looks like matches the description of some drug dealer's truck. I'm like, no, this is the only truck like this around. And as I'm telling him, I realize my insurance is in my wallet.
Oh, I've been there. I've literally found it after I've been pulled over.
Yeah, like I got home, I'm like, there's my insurance card. Like, I couldn't find it in the truck. I forgot that I just switched insurances. So when I got my new card, I just pulled it out of the envelope from the mail or whatever and just put it in my wallet. Mm-hmm. And so I went in a couple days later, or whatever it was, when my court date was, walked up, and they called me up. I was like, Your Honor, I got pulled over. I didn't have proof of insurance with. I found it as soon as I got home. Here it is, proving I was insured the day he pulled me over. And they're like, okay, dismissed.
Yep.
And then you walk over to the bailiff right next to him, and the judge calls up the next person while you're dealing with the bailiff. The bailiff not even verified. Mm-hmm. That was the fascinating thing. They didn't even look at it and go, oh yeah, on the 9th you did have it. They didn't care. They was like, oh yeah, here you go. Rubber stamped my thing, dismissed the charge, and then I went to work.
Yep. When I went in for that last one that I was just
and he
talking about,
wasn't there. So even if he wasn't there, I don't know how proof of insurance would have to be.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Because at that point you've been accused of something that even though your accuser's not there for, they still want proof.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, that's exactly what happened. I literally walked up. They called my name. I walked up. He's like, his officer, blah, blah, blah here. And he said no. And he's like, okay, dismissed. Like, he didn't even ask me what it was. He didn't say what it was. He was just like, and I was like, man, I had like this whole speech. Like, I was ready to go.
I used to ask Johnny about that. And the police officer books their own court dates. When you get a ticket, it's the police officer who picks the court date.
Yep.
Because what they're supposed to do is the officer will have their little black book and go, okay, on the 9th and the 17th, I want to be in court for those 2 days of the month to go through all of my court stuff.
Yep. So
I'm just going to be in court all day on those 2 days.
And then they'll book the ticket for that day.
And then they book the ticket for that day. But if they don't keep track of if they're just handing out dates willy-nilly, but typically that's what takes them so long when issuing a speeding ticket, is they're verifying in their own records when they're going to be in court.
Yep.
So that they can issue you for that day.
And that actually makes sense.
But then if something happens and they can't go to court that day, every case that they have scheduled for that day gets dismissed.
Yep.
So it's a really interesting system. But alrighty, so thanks for hanging out. Listen to these crazy stories. We'll definitely be back to make some more vidges for you. Thanks for hanging out. Yep. Tucson, Arizona. I'm Randy.
And I'm Nick.
Bye-bye.